Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. Today we will talk about the present state of Indian economy and in view of the upcoming budget. All eyes are on the upcoming union budget, which has got much more significance this year because of the bad state of the country's economy amidst the coronavirus pandemic. According to the latest official projections, the country's GDP is expected to contract 7.7% in the current financial year as against a growth of 4.2% in the last financial year. So what should be expected from the budget so that the country can return to growth path at the earliest? We will discuss this in the agenda today with two experts on economy, Dr. Abhishek Rajaram and Mr. Aman Agarwal. But before we begin our conversation, let's have a look at this small report.
India's economy continues to be in a bad state after being hit by the coronavirus lockdown. According to latest official projections, India's GDP is likely to be minus 7.7% in the current financial year against a growth rate of 4.2% in the last financial year. The slide in GDP is deeper than 7.5% contraction estimated by the Reserve Bank of India in its December 4 monetary policy review. Out of the 8 core sectors, agriculture and electricity generation are only two that are projected to be in the positive territory with an estimated growth rate of 3.4% and 2.7% respectively. Given this scenario, all eyes are now on the union budget to be presented on February 1. There are expectations that the government will come out with measures that would give a boost to the economy, particularly the stressed sectors like MSME, manufacturing and unorganized. The government on its part is confident that the country will return to growth path faster than projected. Finance Ministry has said the movement of various high-frequency indicators in recent months point to the broad-based nature of resurgence of economic activity. The relatively more manageable pandemic situation the country as compared to advanced nation has further added momentum to the economic recovery, it said. Bureau Report.
Now let's welcome our guests, Mr. Rajaram and Mr. Agarwal. Welcome to the program, sir. So I'll go to Mr. Rajaram first. Budget is now maybe 3 weeks away, and we have the latest projections of 7.7 contraction in this financial year. So what should we expect from the budget?
And our expectation should be very clear that we should maintain increase in public sector investment, infrastructure, and also in the first 2 quarters, the first quarters of the fiscal year, there has been no investment in capex because of corona pandemic and down. So we want higher investment in capex also. Also, there are certain sectors which are into stress. For example, tourism, hospitality, commercial vehicle, and sale of private. Also, we had seen stress with the telecom sector also. In first time in decade, we had seen lesser numbers of telecom subscribers. The telecom subscriber numbers have been reduced. So these all sectors are in problem. Discoms have issues. Also, the common man is thinking about what should be done or how it should be done, that I get more relief, because higher inflation is also disturbing his budgets. As 2 days ago, on 7th of January, we have got first advance rate of our incomes, and this when we go through it, then our incomes are would be lesser than what was in 2018 or 19. So, in such a challenging position, the common man has big expectations from the budget, and he is looking after our Honorable Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman, with great hope.
Right.
But these are about the common man. But MSMEs are in real trouble because there is no savior for them. They are suffering a lot. Compliance costs are increased. Compliance numbers have increased. Late fees are, there is no cap on the late fees. Late fees are more than the taxes due or on the amount due. Due days are staggered, but they are in routine matters. For example, tomorrow on 10th of Sunday, we have due for filing of ITR. And this was the extended date. And today is second Saturday bank holiday, and tomorrow is Sunday bank holiday. So ideally, it should have been extended to 11th, or maybe more days has been extended only to 10 days. And again, during this Corona lockdown pandemic, the government has come with certain rules or certain sections which has been introduced, which is say MSMEs a lot. For example, Section 16, subsection 4, or Rule 34, which has reduced ITG from 120% to now 105%, or implementations of QRMP. TFSS scheme, the amnesty scheme has not been extended, and there are MSMEs.
Mr. Rajaram, I'll come back to you, but we have Mr. Agarwal also there. Mr. Agarwal, as I asked Mr. Rajaram also, given the status of the economy, what should be expected from the budget?
You see, the budget is expected to be a mixed bag of welfare schemes as well as and growth orientations which will be there. So it is not going to be a complement, as we saw, of only tax boogies or infrastructure expansion plans or growth oriented schemes which has been there in the past few years. The focus will certainly be contained to agriculture. It will also be contained to the vaccination, the healthcare facilities, because a lot of welfare spending needs to be done in terms of making this vaccine, which is expected to be out in the market soon, to people at large in this country. Large number of them are going to be free of cost, as the government has committed from time to time. And even the elections held in the recent states, the various governments of states have said that they will provide these vaccinations free, which is a Herculean task. So there will be huge spending there. It is important that the spending goes up and the fiscal deficit is not kept in mind. It is not to be relaxed at this stage and not keep the target of 3.5%, which has been done by the government in the past 7 years. Primarily because that this is an important spending which will all regain the boost in the people at large and ultimately lead to the growth which we are looking at in the next coming year. Fortunately, since the base has been low, there will be a base effect in terms of the growth projection figures which will come there, and hence we would see a better shift. Fortunately for India, the industry has been able to pick up, and we've seen that the tax revenue collection has been high. Apart from the tax revenue collection which has been high, the boost in the different sectors in growth has been there and has been reflected by international agencies' reports like the Moody's and the Standard & Poor's and others. Even IMF has actually projected the current year growth rate, which was negative, very high negative, to a little less negative high growth. So, which clearly is indicated that the growth factors induced by the government are yielding results, and they are inducing some kind of a growth factor which will show us a positive round, given that we have had a negative flat last 1.5 years.
Okay, Mr.
The challenges which the government has is the employment and the mobilizing people at large, and that's where the budget will also focus on, apart from agriculture and the fiscal spending they will have to make. In my opinion, whatever fiscal spending is done is critical, but it has to be investment oriented, which boosts growth and development instead of spreading out, money in terms of just dispersing them for the usage, which will not be productive in nature. The government will also see the fact that the defense corridors and the corridors which they have initiated, projects which they have initiated in the last 7 years, are put on rolls and are in action, because some of them have still not been put in action. And so they would be spending on that. So in my opinion, it will be a mixed bag, but it will be a growth-oriented framework.
Okay, Mr. Agarwal, as you mentioned that it will be a kind of welfare schemes will be there. I mean, it will be welfare oriented. But we have welfare, I mean, it has to be across the spectrum, no? As Mr. Rajaram mentioned about MSME sector is badly hit, and it's not, I don't think it's picking up even now. Unemployment hugely, there is huge unemployment still there, and there are other sectors also. Manufacturing is down, as he mentioned, telecom is also hit badly. So there are these sectors also which have to be taken care of, which are kind of backbone of the economy. What do you say on that?
No, I agree with you that it's a mix of various sectors. But you see, whenever we look at GDP or growth or overall growth of an economy, it is not one sector in specific which we look at. We look at multiple sectors coming together. Now, in the last 2 years, automobiles have been badly hit, primarily because of the regulatory framework of the 10-year and 50-year rule which the National Pollution Board had brought in. And as a result, the people were not wanting to invest into an asset which had a life of 10 to 15 years, whereas they were thinking of long term. And we saw the automobiles immediately cripple down. As soon as the Supreme Court brought out the ruling, we saw the automobiles pick up back again. So the automobiles came out. Then we saw this particular year and a half, the hospital and the healthcare sector, which are actually going down for the last 4-5 years, has actually picked up extensively because of COVID and healthcare requirements. Then we also saw the insurance sector, both in terms and medical healthcare, which were actually stagnated for almost 3 to 4 years, despite large number of companies coming into place, is now again picking up because people are becoming more conscious of the fact that the costs are very high and they need to take care of the health coverage. Not that everyone is going into a health requirement, but certainly that consciousness has risen.
Right.
So there are a large number of sectors which are coming in. The MSME sector also rebuilding itself into this new framework. And the fact that the supply chain in this country in the last 1 year has not shackled off, and people in big cities like Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, Chennai, everywhere else were getting food supplies where they were not food producing zones, clearly is an indication that the supply chain function, and that is primarily how to fall off the MSME. It is not the large corporates which have been only providing. It is the MSME, whether it's kirana shops, or it is the transporters, or it is others who have actually been shifting. Even during this lockdown of Kisan agitation which is taking place, you can see that the supply chain has not got disrupted, and that's where the framework which the new system is coming up, or as they call it, the new normal these days, is something which is actually showing up. Certainly business will not be the same. Things will change, but we are looking at that thing come up. Like you see, when we are communicating now, we are using this technology to be doing. I used to come to your studio before. Right. Or there used to be a transportation framework user expenditure done. So one side you are saving that money, which could be used for other productive uses by the APN, or again getting on transportation. So there is a loss in transportation, but then there is a gain for APN to go about doing it. So there are different ways of actually looking at the whole scenario. Right. I would see it as a more positive outlay of what is going to happen.
Right. So Mr. Rajaram, you heard Mr. Agarwal saying that it could be social welfare oriented budget, and he also elaborated that there are positive indicators. What do you say on that?
So, this budget cannot be a social welfare budget. Reason is that all the major disinvestment schemes are failed by the government. Government, he said about the good taxes collection. So, I must put forward that for the direct tax target, yes, the government was able to recover or achieve only 60% till December. So again, we are missing the direct tax target also, and in GST target also.
But GST collections have been record all.
I'm coming to that further also. So the GST collection of the whole year, as per the SBI report, the GST is then 1,04,000 crore for this year. The government collection.
And this exceptionally high collection for GST for December doesn't mean too much because the collection for this was also because of annual returns for 2018 and 19 were filed in this. And the payment which was made to DRC 03 has to be linked with the previous year 2018-19. This is not for the collection for this year. Also, government is in backward because its borrowing has increased a lot. Second, with minus 7% growth or minus 7.7% which the government expects, in India, any growth rate below 6% looks like a slowdown. And what does it mean with minus 7%? So actually it is very bad situation. Of course, we can blame Corona, COVID also, and we can blame others also. And my dear friend has said about the insurance sector also. So let me put forward some numbers, which was announced on 7th of January. LIC premium, the growth rate was nearly 0.6% for this year till November, vis-a-vis 22.7% growth rate for previous year. Bank deposits have been reduced.
No, when we
aggregate bank
I think Mr. Rajaram,
reduced.
I think he was referring to the health insurance, not about LIC, life insurance, if I got him right.
The health insurance was bound to increase because of Corona, COVID. Many people have taken insurance also. We put forward, say, if we say the sanitizer sale has increased this year, then again we will get a positive number.
Right.
And when he was giving an example of this, we are maintaining, we are through technology, we have been contacting on this from our home itself or from our offices, and we are not traveling. So again, this might have provided job loss to certain sector which come under unorganized sector. For example, if you have reduced your office size, then of course you must have reduced the pantry boys also. You might have reduced your drivers also. And thus this sector is on the last footsteps of the society. And these are not the numbers. And pink slips and reduction in salary are a new norm in India. Salaries have not been restored. And when we come to the numbers, what our GDP would look like, so GDP would be 1.94 lakh crore. And this means, 194 lakh crore.
Yes.
And this would be less than what was in 2018-19. So again, even after this much, we are still far behind than 2018-19. It would take time for us to reach 2019-20.
But that was expected, no? But that was expected, no? Because of the COVID and lockdown. And
no, that was expected from last 4 years. Yeah. The growth rate was coming down and down. Even if without COVID, we had only 4% growth rate.
Right, 4.2, yeah.
We had, for March, we have only 3% growth rate. Right. So who is responsible for this growth rate? Corona came in March 2020.
Right.
So who was responsible for less growth rate in December 19 or March 20 quarter?
Right. I think Mr. Agarwal wants to say something.
You see, when we look at the growth rates, we always look at a growth rate in a perspective of the whole scenario. It is not the growth rate of India in today only. When IMF also projects, I worked with the World Bank in Washington DC about 20 years back. When we look at these data, we look at comparing different countries together on the same bandwidth. And when we look at the growth rate of most of the countries, they are much more negative than what India is. And the rebounding factor which has been shown in the last 1 year in terms of the negativity which is expected and what we are having a negative now is much lower. You know, there's an old saying, if you want to draw a small line and there is a longer line without touching it, before you draw a smaller line against it and this becomes longer. It's a comparative state which we are looking at. And this is where the India having an edge. The third important component which is there is, fortunately, is that we are having two major medicines. One, and both by in the private sector. One is Bharat Bio and the other is the Serum Institute medication, which is going to be having a huge export value in the world market, because large amount of developing countries would not be able to afford that expensive medicine and cannot have an infrastructure which can actually schedule a medicine with such a low level of temperature, which some of the other medicines
you are right.
So that's where we are going to be able to make a big buck in terms of getting that money, which could be distributed ultimately in terms of welfare schemes.
But I think if we talk about vaccines, I don't think we are going to earn much on those, because I think we are going to provide those at affordable cost. So,
I'm saying not from people at large here. But I'm talking of the export of those overseas.
I'm talking about exports only, because we have promised countries that we will provide those at affordable rates, whatever that means. So I don't think we're earning much margin on that. But what I am trying to say is that is one sector. We had to, as you mentioned yourself, that we had to take a wholesome view of the entire sector.
Correct.
Like we have unorganized sector which is badly hit. And as I mentioned, MSME sector, manufacturing sector is deep down. It's not picking up. Only agriculture, I think, is doing well, and maybe service sector is doing well, and hospitality is badly hit. So these are sectors which have to be pulled out of the rug, isn't it?
Yes, I agree with you.
So I may add here also. I think 20 lakh crore package, I don't think it has had impact. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me more.
Yes, 2 points as you raised. One is the specific sector which you have outlined, specifically like the hospitality or the unorganized sector. Let me just focus a minute on both of them.
Sure.
The hospitality sector would actually come out because people are already tired of staying back at home. And as soon as the vaccination is in the market in the next quarter or so, we will see people coming out of their homes and going again. And people already started doing that.
But Mr. Agarwal, people would like to go out, but they don't have money to spend.
No, I agree with you. Let me come to that. And that is why what he talked about LIC not functioning is actually not happening because of the fact that LIC is not used as an insurance but more as an investment vehicle, as proposed by both LIC agents as well as by a large number of people against an insurance policy. Okay? Sir. Now, I agree with you that their revenue growth is less, but when we are seeing some of these sectors grow up, so the people who are working on these sectors certainly will have revenue. Secondly, the people who are in the unorganized sector, which have moved from big cities to small cities now, are going to look at orientations and work in those cities only because they are not going to be wanting to move back to big cities again. So there will be a new flow of people who may come in, but the old people who have gone back, large chunks of them would like to stay back, and that's where we will see the rural structure, the MSME framework going up, and even industries being set up there in a bigger way, because these are some skilled, semi-skilled workers who have actually gone back. So that kind of a framework will come in. When you talk about the other component, which is the rebates or the package which has been given by the government, the Ministry of Finance, Nirmala Sitharaman, please understand most of it has been reallocation and structured in the way that it actually has a long-term impact than a short-term impact. And that's where I said the projects Agarwal, need to be implemented immediately.
So, Mr. Agarwal, that has been the debate, whether we need short-term measures or we need long-term measures, even when the 20 lakh crore package was announced.
No, I think the government has had a mix of both bags. Of short-term, like they have done a UBI, they have done some basic transfers also immediately. They have also provided for immediate facilities in terms of healthcare. That was the immediate boosting factor which is there. Okay, so they have provided some of those kind of relief which are there. Then they have also provided certain COVID relief in terms of tax framework which are there. But more of it in terms of tax break, relaxations in terms of payment of those taxes.
But what I understand is,
rupees 20. When it comes to major framework, it is a question of restructuring the whole thing.
Yeah. That was actually meant for the whole restructuring. I mean, 20 lakh crore. Mr. Rajaram wants to say something.
Sir, that 20 lakh crore was more of a loan DSA type of thing, rather than a package for economy. And currently, when he talks about, my friend has talked about agriculture and rural sector. So let me come with the numbers. So agriculture sector was growing more than 4.3% in previous year, which has been slowed down, and it is not growing with the rate of 3.3%. And even our export of goods and services have reduced drastically, which are expected to reduce by -9%. And with mining is reduced by -13%, and manufacturing is reduced by more than 20%. So lockdown, we were listening so much hype that foreign companies are coming. We would be giving this, that. And on 12th of May, I had announced anything and everything under the sky.
But Mr. Rajaram, according to
so how many companies have come, sir?
Mr. Rajaram,
sir, how many companies have come?
Just a minute, I want to say something, because according to latest figures, forex figures, there is a jump of $4.483 billion. How come?
Sir, you sell petrol by buying at 23 rupees and selling at 84 rupees. You can make profit any day and every day.
Okay. And
Why not you bring the natural gases under GST, which was promised from the very first day? It is mentioned in the GST laws also that they will come under Section 9.
There is no consensus on, I think, on that, I guess. That is why it's not being...
So without consensus, how can government promise everything and anything?
No, that is the intention.
If there was no consensus, why they promised?
That is the government intention.
They said they will bring it within 1 year.
That was the intent, no, I guess.
They had given Decorian powers to the department. Sir, trust me, they are issuing notices for service tax for 2014-15 and after 5 years. They are mixing everything and anything. Trust me. Okay. They are blocking credits under 86A, Rule 86A. Now they have come with 86B, which they are saying that you have to mandatorily pay 1% cash.
Right.
You cannot use 100% of the ITC with certain limits. Of course, there are certain limits and restrictions. So you know, they have mixed the labor law, they are mixing farm laws, they are doing everything. They have created mess for MSMEs. At least for MSMEs, I can bet on this thing that compliances have become our biggest challenge. And after 2-3 years, you will see a tsunami of litigations in this corporate world. I don't know whether the MSMEs would be able to afford this or not. But again, there would be a tsunami of litigations. That I can bet on this way.
Okay. Our time is running out. I want to have one last question to Mr. Agarwal. When we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, there are concerns in maybe some countries. In fact, American ambassador recently hinted that it is kind of counterproductive to foreign relations, and it's kind of a protectionism. What do you say on that?
No, I think the policy is very clear about the way it is supposed to be. It is actually building up things from within the country. It is not restricting anybody. It is not saying that you don't do things from outside or you don't import things from outside. It is not actually making a border which is closed. In fact, on the other hand, the United States of America in the last 4 years has brought in this trade war which is creating those barriers, which is not the case with India.
Right.
And they have done that in the past with dumping rules and so on and so forth, restricting products going from developing countries to the US as well. So in India, we are not having that protectionist policy. Certainly, it is a question of motivating people, and that's where the MSME comes in, because MSME has a locked-in capital little less than large companies, where they can actually move from one production center to another production center.
I'm saying it is being seen as a protectionist policy. So I want to ask the same question to Mr. Rajaram before we conclude. Brief comments.
So this is not a protectionist policy. Now we are into global market, nothing like that. I support the government on that.
Okay, so we are consensus of one thing, but our time is up. Thank you both of you for participating in this debate. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important topic on Monday. Till then, goodbye.